Hey guys, Journey to Truth is going to Hawaii. Join us in 2026 for Journey to Truth's first ever vacation conference on the Big Island at the beautiful Queen Emma Community Center in Kona. Enjoy Hawaii as we travel to sacred sites and connect with our Lemurian past and reactivate the land. It's time to get our bodies moving and take a boots on the ground approach to the awakening. We'll also be making a trip to Volcano National Park to pay our respect to Pele, the goddess of fire. We'll then journey to the water for an ocean adventure with our multi-dimensional aquatic family. We'll gear up and head to the harbor as we set sail under the sun for an activating day on the water while we experience the Hawaiian ocean life like never before. Enjoy Hawaiian sunsets and walks on the beach while connecting with Soul Family and learning a few things from our amazing lineup of speakers. Aloha! Grab your ticket today at journeytotruth.online and join us for this once-in-a-lifetime activating getaway.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So I am in Sedona with Sarah Breskman Cosme at the Sedona Ascension Retreat Conference. And this is day 2, and I think you're actually going to be regressing the whole crowd later, and then tomorrow you actually speak. Mm-hmm. So Sarah and I we've been friends for a while now, and we finally got a chance to hang out, and she agreed to do an interview. So we're just going to have some fun, talk about some things, and in particular, I think what everybody wants to know is like, what is the stuff that's coming through the sessions right now that everybody wants to know? Like, what is the theme you see?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like because there's so much. I feel like so many of us, we just really want to be informed, because if we're not informed, then we're worried that something's going to hurt us or our children, because so much of what we see and hear is a lie or a half truth, So we want to stay at the leading edge. So I'm just like constantly asking questions about what the heck do we really need to know, right? What's happening. And a lot of the recent stuff that's coming through is just that a lot of it is that we're being helped a lot, that certain subsets of the government have a time limit where they have to share information, and that they're really controlling the narrative. So it's really up to us to educate ourselves. And the best way to do that is really to start learning how to use your own discernment, how to really listen to yourself. And if you hear somebody telling you something, to see whether or not it resonates with you, if you believe it. That's important, right? Because we're on the precipice of starting to have like half truth disclosure,
Not full disclosure.
Right. And there's all these weapons that they've been making, and if it goes in the wrong way, it's important to trust your own discernment and to ask for help, from your guides, and things like that. And people are seeing that there are other versions of all of us that are here to help us, because time doesn't exist in the rest of the universe. And so we are supposed to call upon these other versions, develop a communication. And what I mean by other versions is there are cycles of time that our soul is living in this now moment. And there are cycles of time that have completed this experience. And they're great guides and help. And so you call upon them because they're also you, and they are, I guess you could call them advanced, because in that cycle of time, they're advanced and they're available and want to help, but you have to ask them for help. And people have seen that we're on the precipice of seeing so many new things. Like there's apparently a new meteor shower coming, like in April this year, 2026, that's supposed to help wake people up. There's constant environmental pushes and nudges and information just being broadcast to us, not only from ourselves, from our guides, but from, what you would consider the cosmos as well, just to help nudge us to start us asking questions, to start pushing us into alignment with who we really are and what we're really doing here. And what we're doing here is we're trying to remember that we are basically source experiencing itself. And we're trying to remember that in over so many different cycles of time, we've forgotten this and we're pretty much back again. But
Yeah.
I mean, that in a nutshell is some of it. But
Yeah,
there's
and
so much more.
it's funny, you're answering all my questions as I'm thinking of them, like, and you're like reading my mind. So, okay, a few things. For one, I wanted to ask you, what do you mean by other versions of ourselves? And you explained that beautifully, and I agree. And so would you say that maybe even in some capacity, when you see a light in the sky or a craft, it could be a version of you visiting yourself?
Most of the time, it's actually another version of you, because there are other cycles of time that your soul is experiencing now and having a full reality and experience in that other cycle of time. And we, all of us here, we are also in those other places. So we know that the most beautiful thing is this journey. We don't want to come down and be like, no, you need to do A, B, and C. We want this experience. There's a type of bliss that we as a collective are experiencing, and we'll notice when we get to the other side of going through this type of, some people call it challenging ascension process, So we don't want to help us too much. It's us.
Yeah.
We know, because it also affects us in these other cycles of time. It's all like a ripple effect. It's all, this whole fabric of the universe is all one. And that law of one is there to remind us that we are all one. All these cycles of time are one. Every single part of us is a part of everything else. So it's important that we go through this for the other cycles of us and the other time, but you can tell that we win. I mean, there's so much evidence. Like, the biggest evidence that we win this whole battle of light versus dark is totally because we're here. That should be to everyone the most obvious sign. Because if we didn't win, we wouldn't simply not exist right now. We wouldn't be in this position.
And we especially wouldn't be having these conversations.
We wouldn't.
Right.
We wouldn't.
So thank you for sharing that. I want to go back to something you said at the beginning about there being this seemingly time limit for the government disclosure.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, back when certain groups of other cycles of time, like gray extraterrestrials or certain types of extraterrestrials, if you want to call them extraterrestrials, but really they're a cycle of all of us, have done trades with the government or with subsets of the government. And for instance, facial recognition technology, 3D printing, and many other things that subsets of the government have. There have been trades going on where certain other cycles of time, they have done their cycle in a way where they wanted to make up for things they did wrong, have done trades to get biological components of us, and in order to create new bodies to transfer their consciousness into, because they are aware of how to do that. They can transfer their consciousness into, similar to cloning technology. So there was a time limit where these subsets of governments could use their technology, but they would have to tell the rest of the population. So they were considered the leaders, but would have to share with the rest of the population at a certain time. And they simply didn't do that. And so they were under the gun. They reached the end of their time limit. And that is one of the biggest reasons behind this whole disclosure. It is a way to not let the public know just how deep the corruption goes, but to share little bits and drops and stuff like that, so they don't really get in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's just they're being held accountable now, and there's nowhere to hide at this moment in time. So it leaves the whole population in a great position. because it's like, while we find all these things out for ourselves, really that also means that there's tons and tons of technology that will start to surface.
Yeah.
And it has to surface.
Yeah, I agree.
And the people that have been in power for all this time and all these cycles of time, because if you look back through people's memories of ancient cultures, the 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 top part of the people that knew everything, that took all the technology and knew everything, they also knew it was a new cycle of time. And what they did was they hid their information, their technology in tunnels under the earth, waited for the catastrophe to be over, came back up with the technology, and then had control over the population. All these cycles of time, But it's predicted now that we aren't going to go through something like that. The rest of the people are going to have the information, and we're not going to have these catastrophes. Now, some of these subsets of the government understand that we're going through a new cycle of time, and they think they need to do all these like tunnel systems, and who knows, there's always potentials that we may need something like that. Of course, I'm sure we'll have a lot of warning before then.
Yeah.
But they're hoping that they can take this technology, hide it underground, but they can't anymore.
Right.
Everyone's finding out, not only with the internet being so available to all of us and information just being accessible so fast,
Right.
but our own discernment, our own abilities are waking up. So you just can't hide anything from the population anymore if they start to learn how to use their discernment.
Yeah. And I think I called this the age of transparency that we're moving into. In a sense, like it's actually scientific because we're moving into a higher vibration where it doesn't allow deception to exist.
Yeah.
So like a lot, like any, like karma is instant, right?
Yeah.
Like any little lie will come back to haunt you immediately. Like there's nobody, and it's happening on a global level right now with the government. Like we see through, a large amount of us see through every false flag that they're doing immediately now.
Yeah.
For the most part. And that's a sign, that's a telltale sign that their old ways don't work and that system is dying. So I agree 100%. Like they can't do it. And that just has a lot to do with the frequency of the planet. And like they're married to this old ways, right? And they're programmed to they know how to operate one way, and they still think that's the only way, not understanding that, like you just explained it beautifully. So changing subjects slightly, you've been banned. Yeah. You've had books banned, censorship. What do you think? Can you share with us the juicy information that they are censoring that you don't think they want people to know?
Yeah. Some of the stuff that I'll be really careful how I talk about it. Some of the stuff that I think that, well, I started working on my Atlantis stuff in 2018 without knowing anything about Atlantis or any of this information. I was simply using not only a friend I had been friends with for over 10 years who didn't even believe in this stuff. This was just coming through her subconscious and her memories, and then other clients that I was using. I wasn't an expert. It was 2018 and I was just getting into the field, basically. But we were uncovering memories of Atlantean times. So basically, what I have noticed is that most of us walking the planet today have an aspect in that cycle of time, because we're completing a shift where we came into this cycle of time to rebalance all the karma and trauma. So to totally remember all the things that happened before, anybody that's trying to hide that from the public because they're doing the same things now, it would be kind of dangerous to show a light onto what happened before. Some of that was that there were experiments and they were basically killing a population that had certain side effects from their forced genetic manipulations.
Right.
And they did these forced genetic manipulations during the time of Atlantis that are very similar to some of the things happening now. They had underground facilities where they were splicing DNA to create certain new beings, which is very similar to now. All these things I didn't know. I was just documenting people's memories of Atlantis. And one of the things that was probably so upsetting is when we back in Atlantis, when people remembered first discovering that there were these side effects from the whole government's programs. It was too late to turn back. But they realized that after a while, the people that had these side effects had different abilities, and they were becoming so strong in their abilities that they could read crystals. They had animal-like parts that actually created new abilities and new pathways in their mind. With the mental damage, it was very similar to the savants now who have type of damage from things in our environment that have created a new neural pathway that allows for new information to come through, giving them a type of ability, a supernatural ability even. And the same thing was happening in Atlantis in a slightly different way. And I think that shining light on what was happening there must have triggered something, because that book has been banned now for a while. So I just redid it and I took out some words. That's it.
Right. So that's fascinating to me. I mean, a lot of us understand this is like a repeat of Atlantis.
It's a repeat of Atlantis.
Except this time we're coming in with this awareness, and there's this spiritual awakening happening at the same time. So it's not going to be an exact repeat.
It's not going to be an exact repeat, but the problem for the people that have had control over the population for so long is they didn't want to be found out. And so what is happening is all this stuff is coming to the surface and they can't hide anymore. But the same group has been controlling the same population. And so that's really the problem. Right. This cycle has been going on over and over and over again. And now everyone's finding out that we don't need to repeat this anymore. We don't need the same people to show us that we need to learn and get out of that cycle.
Yeah, and a telltale sign that this information is like a highly kept secret is the Epstein files released, and there's information about Atlantis, and then they're taking submarines down and exploring Bimini Road and these underwater civilizations, looking for potentially Atlantean artifacts, and they have a vested interest in that for a reason. And I think some of the people in those files and that are controlling the world are of that descent. They carry that bloodline, and this is a battle of the bloodlines as well.
It is. Yeah.
So what have you seen? Do you see any information as far as warring extraterrestrial factions over humanity, different bloodlines involved?
There's so much when it comes to bloodlines, and it does seem that for certain bloodlines that have had control, there's been an effort to keep them in control. But there's also bloodlines that have a lot of supernatural powers that have been protected, even by the Knights Templar, even back people's memories of Lemuria and things like that. Some aspects of the Rh negative blood seems to carry genetic material from certain type of extraterrestrial universe even that has supernatural abilities, but it had to be hidden because they didn't want all those people killed, But as far as warring extraterrestrials right now, I've heard that a lot of the wars have stopped right now because what is happening here really affects the rest of the universe. That's just what I've been receiving. Right. But as far as warring factions over trying to protect us, I've also been told that there are other aspects of ourselves that are guarding this ascension to make sure this ascension is happening, because there was a great effort to keep us in the dark so that we wouldn't be able to ascend, so that we wouldn't be able to use our discernment to keep us in the dark, to continue being, a slave. Yeah,
that's actually fascinating. Very fascinating. So not only, there's light factions involved that are fighting for humanity on our side, right? And fighting for us, and which, you know, makes perfect sense. Is a part of the reason that they try to dim our light is so we don't remember our light and remember those abilities that we once had in Atlantis, and, you know, they're coming back online. So I mean, it all makes sense now why certain individuals get targeted. Even from birth, they might know they can track that soul. And that's another interesting question. I'd be curious to know if anything comes to your sessions about soul tracking. Like, do they monitor these people throughout their entire lives?
So it was interesting to find out about that type of technology, because they track the soul throughout multiple lives. It's the soul that it's interesting, because when people actually remember tracking a soul, like, because you can actually quiet your mind and tune into another version of yourself under hypnosis. So they see it, like it lights up, and that's exactly what they tracked over and over again. But not the person, the soul.
Right.
And even so, like, say a soul like Tesla in another cycle, it could reincarnate into multiple bodies, and all those bodies would also contain that fragment, that soul. So they would also be tracked, if that's what they're tracking. So it's in essence, it's like
so in essence, we all have a soul essence in other avatars and other timelines. Essentially, they all exist simultaneously. So that begs the question, you and me right now sitting here, we're not embodying our entire soul.
Exactly.
And so there's, you know, we hear about this soul fragmentation, but some of that isn't necessarily, obviously it's weaponized, right? But some of it is by our own design.
Well, we didn't come here for just an easy time. I mean, we came here to expand, like, our soul. So we came here for this challenge. And it was by design. This is like a video game.
Right.
That's what people see on the other side. So we don't want to be superhuman playing a game that's, you know, a high level.
Yeah.
It's just a limitation for a reason.
Yeah, that's the way Max Spears used to put it. He said, this is a video game, and the elites have the cheat codes and we don't.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. and the elites would be the people in these secret societies, and like they run these mystery schools and this occult knowledge. And they can unlock those abilities that we're getting into, like Harry Potter territory, where like these wizards and warlocks, that's a reality, right?
Right.
And these are abilities that we all have, but that information has been kept from us.
Right.
And I just recently did a very powerful breathwork session a few days ago, and the way the teacher described it was that this specific breathwork technique was like a cheat code for this reality. And what it does is that it allows you to unlock unbelievable trauma that has just been there for generations, and it's just hiding and residing in your body. He calls it energy clots, like blood clots, but energy clots. Anyway, it's like it's the best healing in the world, and you already possess it. You don't have to go to a doctor, you don't have to buy a supplement, it's just through your breath. It's a cheat code. But we don't know it. It's so simple, it's there the whole time, but unless you know, then you don't, you know.
That's the thing. I love the cheat codes.
Right.
Because you could do anything. And I mean, we've just been programmed and taught all our lives, like this lie, you know, that you need to go ask for a doctor or somebody to tell you how to heal yourself. You know, no, it's never meant to be like that.
In fact, I don't remember his name, and I'm sorry for that if he happens to be watching this, but he did a TED talk on breathwork, and his TED talk got banned immediately. And because he explained, you know, there's some of his breathwork is helping people cure cancer and dissolve tumors, and just through breathwork. That's it. You know, so they're going to ban that TED talk. We're talking about some major stuff, and I think all these abilities are coming online, and it's just wonderful what you're doing, and you're bringing so much information to the people right now. And we're kind of running low on time here for a few reasons. I think you have some stuff going on. It's just a busy weekend. So, are there any final words or anything that you think our audience would like to know before we wrap this up?
There's just so many cheat codes, but one of the best cheat codes ever, aside from breath work, which is so incredibly powerful, and you're just using your breath, is going into the sun, and allowing natural sun to get on your solar plexus, because in the ancient cultures, they would combine the two. So they did this practice where they would go in the sun, let the sun hit their solar plexus, which is above your belly button, and visualize those two connecting and then sending that energy through their whole body. It's just free.
Right.
And it's extremely rejuvenating.
Yes. Why that would explain the chemtrails and why they want to block the sun.
Right.
And replace it with a vitamin D pill,
Right.
So yeah, this has been very valuable information. Thank you for sharing all this stuff. And I'm sure most people know where to find you, but maybe you can just let the audience know what you have going on. I know you have a show on Gaia, a bunch of stuff. You're just very busy, so maybe you could let us know.
Well, if you want to get any of my research, you can go to my website, theholistichuhypnotist.com. And I have a lot of workshops coming up if you want to come meet me and participate in some of this stuff. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of Egypt trips too. So connect with me, and I hope to connect with you.
And explain the Gaia show.
Oh, and so I'm on Gaia multiple times. So you can go to Gaia and just type in my name, and you'll be able to look me up pretty quickly. And I've got a lot of different things going on. And I just filmed an upcoming series that will come out like maybe in a whole year, but it's called Divine Science. So you can check me out on anywhere on Gaia. Just type my name in, Sarah Breskman Cosme, and I'll pop up.
Awesome. And make sure you grab her books. And did you say the Atlantis one is coming? The new one's out, or it's coming out?
The new one that's revised is out. You can't get my old Atlantis book on paperback, although I saw it on eBay for $500, but it's
right.
But that one's still banned. You can't get it anywhere, actually, I don't think.
Wow.
But I did revise it. I just took out some words, so it's still all the information is right there. It's just a few words. I had to change them because I think they were trigger words and alerted somebody. But yes, my YouTube got demonetized too.
Right.
You would think I'm public enemy #1, and all I'm doing is trying to help people.
Right. I mean, that's the way it goes. Somebody told me, because we receive attacks all the time, and somebody just said simply, that's what happens when you're changing the world.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't care. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was amazing. Thank you guys for being here. We love you. We can't do this without you. And until next time, have a great day or evening wherever you are. Goodbye. Hey guys, Journey to Truth is going to Hawaii. Join us in 2026 for Journey to Truth's first ever vacation conference on the Big Island at the beautiful Queen Emma Community Center in Kona. Enjoy Hawaii as we travel to sacred sites and connect with our Lemurian past and reactivate the land. It's time to get our bodies moving and take a boots-on-the-ground approach to the awakening. We'll also be making a trip to Volcano National Park to pay our respect to Pele, the goddess of fire. We'll then journey to the water for an ocean adventure with our multi-dimensional aquatic family. We'll gear up and head to the harbor as we set sail under the sun for an activating day on the water while we experience the Hawaiian ocean life like never before. Enjoy Hawaiian sunsets and walks on the beach while connecting with soul family and learning a few things from our amazing lineup of speakers. Aloha! Grab your ticket today at journeytotruth.online and join us for this once-in-a-lifetime activating getaway.